Stop deceiving yourself. The way you present yourself to the world genuinely matters. A neglected appearance is not authenticity, it is neglect of yourself. Every time you walk out into the world with an improvised, unconsidered image, you are sending a message. I don't take myself seriously. I don't respect what I bring to the room. And if you do not project strength, focus, and intention, why would anyone else perceive those things in you? It is time to leave the excuses behind. Look in the mirror honestly, and take full ownership of how you show up. Because your appearance is speaking right now, and at this very moment, it is either showing that you are ready to claim your life, or that you are still drifting. Before we begin, write in the comments right now without overthinking it. Today I choose to show up with discipline. I am Stoic. Write it as a firm commitment to yourself. Because when you write a statement with genuine intention, you begin to reprogram your mind from the inside. That sentence is not just a gesture, it is a declaration of loyalty to yourself. Now, let's begin. Lesson 1. Your appearance and first impression. Define your confidence and opportunities. Your appearance speaks before you open your mouth. Within seconds, people decide whether to trust you, to respect you, or to quietly tune you out. And they make that judgment not consciously, but instinctively. Every time you enter a room, walk down a street, step onto a stage, or sit across from someone new, you are transmitting a signal. And that signal often determines whether you are taken seriously or overlooked. This is not about being the most attractive person in the room. It is not about wearing the most expensive clothes. It is about alignment between your identity, your purpose, and how you present yourself physically. The way you move, the way you sit, the way you hold your gaze, the energy you carry as you walk, all of it speaks constantly, loudly, even when you say nothing. If you walk with hunched shoulders, eyes cast downward, feet dragging, an air of exhaustion, you are silently declaring, I don't believe in myself. But if you walk with a straight back, level gaze, calm presence, and deliberate energy, you declare, I am ready, I am focused, I am committed. Appearance is not superficiality. It is the projection of energy. And when that energy is charged with intention and discipline, doors open without requiring you to knock. This is not magic. It is human perception operating at its most efficient. If you want to be respected, begin by respecting yourself. If you want to be heard, show up as someone worth listening to. If you want access to opportunities, first demonstrate that you are prepared to receive them. The world is watching, assessing, deciding before you speak a word. Rapidly, rigorously, but also powerfully, if you choose to use that fact in your favor. Ask yourself every day, does my appearance reflect who I want to be? Does my posture match my purpose? Does my energy align with my vision? If the answer is no, you are losing ground. But if the answer is yes, you become unstoppable. Your presence will speak for you in rooms where you are not yet known. Your image becomes the key that opens doors that were previously closed. This is not about pretending to be something you are not. It is about embodying, through your physical presence, what you have already accepted in your mind. The respect you seek from the outside begins with the image you build from within. Lesson 2. Authentic confidence is visible, and it naturally attracts. Genuine confidence does not need to announce itself. It does not need applause. It does not require external validation. It is simply felt, simply perceived. It is quiet, but powerful. When someone enters a room with real confidence, everything shifts. The atmosphere, the attention, the energy. People turn to look, not because of what this person is saying, but because of what they are radiating. And that radiation comes from inside. It is not makeup. It is not a rehearsed speech. It is presence. Not a demonstration of superiority, but a settled sense of knowing who you are, what you are worth, and where you are heading, even when no one else yet knows. It is the ability to look forward with calm, to move without urgency, but with purpose, to speak without needing to raise your voice. Because when you know your own value, you have nothing to prove. But everything starts with you. No one will respect you if you do not respect yourself. No one will believe in your voice if you constantly undermine it in your own head. No one will follow your lead if you are perpetually hiding behind your fears. Here is where many people get it wrong. They believe confidence is built through external validation, through praise, recognition, social proof. But real confidence is built from within, by fully accepting yourself as you are, with your strengths and your shadows, your light and your limitations. And then deciding to move forward anyway, even when the ground feels unstable beneath you. How do you train this? In the quiet of your own internal dialogue. In how you speak to yourself when no one is listening. In how you look at yourself in the mirror each morning. In how you rise after falling. In how you refuse to quit when no one is watching. That is where genuine security is born. Because you know you are capable. You trust your own preparation. You understand that you do not need to be perfect to be valuable. Your body does not lie. Straight posture, steady gaze, measured breathing, all of it sends a clear message. I govern myself. I am in harmony. I am present. When this becomes your natural state rather than something you have to consciously maintain, you stop performing. You simply are. Enter every space as someone who belongs there. Do not ask permission to exist. Do not shrink to fit inside someone else's idea of you. Let your presence simply state, I know what I carry. I am ready. I have worked for this. It lives in me. Lesson 3. Visualize clear, specific goals for your appearance and well-being. Everything begins with a clear vision. If you do not know precisely how you want to look, feel, and move through the world, then any path seems acceptable, even the ones that carry you away from the best version of yourself. The most common mistake is wanting results without defining targets. We say, I want to improve myself. But what does that actually mean? More energy? Better posture? Stronger composure? If you do not define it with specificity, you will not achieve it, because what cannot be measured cannot be improved. Clarity is power, and vagueness is the enemy of progress. Saying, I'll take better care of myself, is too general. Specificity is what makes the difference. Wake up at 6 a.m. every day. Train 3 times a week. Keep your back straight when you walk. Drink enough water. Speak with intention. These small, concrete, consistent commitments create visible results. And visible results build the kind of confidence that draws opportunities toward you. Your appearance is not an accident. It is the direct reflection of your daily decisions: how you dress, how you care for yourself, what you eat, how you rest, how you speak to yourself in the privacy of your own mind. Everything shapes what the world sees. If you leave your presence to chance, you have handed the job of designing your image to randomness. And randomness is a poor designer. Planning is your weapon. If you do not deliberately make time for your physical, emotional, and mental care, you are sending a clear message that these things are not a priority. And if you do not prioritize your own well-being, no one else will. Every week without clear goals feeds mediocrity. Every well-designed week is an investment in your transformation. Visualize who you want to be in 1 month, in 3 months, in a year. Picture it in detail: your energy, your posture, your style, your discipline. If you can picture it clearly, you can build it deliberately. Your mind needs direction. Without it, it defaults to comfortable, automatic patterns. But give it a clear, measurable, achievable, and repeatable target, and something activates. Commitment appears. And commitment produces results. Stop waiting for motivation. Start working with structure. Motivation is temporary. A well-defined goal and a consistent action plan produce progress even on the days when you do not feel like it, because you are no longer dependent on your mood. You are dependent on the system you built. Stoicism teaches self-discipline is born from a clear understanding of what we can govern: our thoughts, our choices, our actions. Setting clear goals is an act of self-mastery. It is a firm declaration: I will not surrender to inertia. I choose my own direction. Lesson 4. Self-trust is built when you act. Despite fear, and keep moving. Fear does not disappear from waiting. It dissolves in motion. The more you run from what you fear, the more powerful it becomes. But when you choose to act, even with a hammering heart, a shaking voice, a mind full of doubts, something larger awakens inside you: courage. And courage, like any muscle, grows through use. Every time you decide to act in spite of fear, you build something more than bravery. You build self-trust. We tend to wait for the perfect moment. We wait for the doubts to clear, for the anxiety to quiet, for everything to align before we begin. But that moment almost never arrives. The truth is that progress is born from action, not from readiness. Action is the most powerful antidote to self-doubt. Every step, however small, shifts your attention. You stop imagining everything that could go wrong and start seeing what is actually happening. Fear lives in the imagination. Action brings it into the light of reality, and in that light, it weakens. When you accept a challenge, even with your legs trembling, you send your own mind an unambiguous signal: I can handle this. You do not need to leap to where you want to land. You need to move, step by step, every day. Self-trust is not acquired through speeches or positive thinking. It is earned on the field, in the uncomfortable moments, in the decisions you make consciously even when you would rather avoid them. Every time you surrender to fear, you cede inner territory. Your comfort zone shrinks. You begin to feel weaker, not because you are weaker, but because you have grown accustomed to retreating. But when you break that pattern, when you decide, enough hiding, When you act even without motivation, that is the moment your transformation actually begins. Make an offer. Look someone in the eye. Speak your perspective. Say yes to the opportunity. Start the conversation. Enroll in the course. Every action is a statement. I am ready to grow. And growth does not happen inside comfort. It begins at the edge of your emotional resistance. Stoicism reminds us, fear is not an enemy, it is a teacher. It shows you exactly where the limits of your mind currently live. Courage for the Stoics is a virtue, not because it means the absence of fear, but because it means exercising authority over yourself. If fear says stop and you keep moving, you are practicing genuine self-governance. And that is real strength. You do not need to feel ready to begin. Begin, and readiness will follow. Do not wait for courage to appear. Act, and courage will be born inside the movement itself. Lesson 5. Act as if you already are the person you want to become. It accelerates everything. Acting as if. This is not pretending, it is intentional training. It is the conscious decision to behave as your highest self would behave, even before you fully feel like that person yet. Because here is the truth. Do not wait to feel confident before you start acting with confidence. Act with confidence, and the feeling will follow. You do not need to feel successful in order to move like a successful person. You simply need to start. The brain learns through repetition and association. When you consistently walk with the posture, the mood, the body language, and the presence of a grounded, capable person, your brain begins to register this as your new normal. At first, it may feel like a performance, but with enough consistency, it becomes part of you, because you are not pretending to be something you are not. You are rehearsing what already exists within you, waiting for the practice that allows it to emerge fully. Start with honest observation. Who do you want to be? How does that version of you move? How do they speak? What habits do they hold? What boundaries do they set? How do they respond to failure, to fear, to adversity? What choices do they make? Now transfer this into concrete daily actions. Adopt that posture. Speak with that level of intention. Introduce those habits. Do not wait for motivation. Act as if you already possess the strength you are still building. Each repetition leaves a trace. Every day you act from the position of your ideal self, you are rewiring your mind, because your identity is not fixed in stone. It is formed by your daily decisions. When you decide to act as if you are already disciplined, already resilient, already in command of yourself, you program your mind for those qualities to take root and grow. This is not arrogance. It is mental strategy. Because if you behave like someone defeated, uncertain, and weak, that is what you become. But if you behave like someone purposeful, strong, and clear, you build yourself into that reality. Stoicism teaches our actions matter more than our emotions. You can feel afraid, but if you act bravely, you are brave. You can feel uncertain, but if you act with clarity, you are decisive. Practicing is not deception if the goal is growth. It is emotional training. And the more consistently you do it, the more natural it becomes. You do not need to have everything under control before you begin. You just need to decide. Behave like someone who is already consistent, who already manages their emotions, who already respects their image, their words, their actions. And before long, what was as if will simply be who you are. Because practice does not just train, it transforms. Lesson 6. Surround yourself with people who support and amplify your growth. Your environment shapes you, even when you are not aware of it. Every conversation, every glance, every energy you encounter each day leaves an invisible mark on how you think, feel, and act. And if you are not conscious of this, you can undermine your own growth simply by remaining in the company of people who do not add to your strength. The people you spend the most time with gradually influence your picture of the world, and more importantly, your picture of yourself. This is why, if you genuinely want to grow, you need to deliberately surround yourself with people who lift you, not those who quietly hold you back. Some relationships genuinely nourish you. They challenge you with care, inspire you toward better, even without saying anything explicit. Being around a disciplined person makes you want to organize your own life. Being around someone positive makes you reconsider your own complaints. Being around someone courageous reminds you that you can face your own fears. The right environment is a mirror showing you who you could become. But there are also people who, without bad intention, quietly extinguish your inner fire. They mock your goals, minimize your progress. They transfer their own fear, their cynicism, their comfort zone. Sometimes they say nothing directly, you just feel it. After time with them, you walk away more confused, more drained, further from your path. If this keeps happening, you need to make a decision. Protect your energy. This does not mean hatred, judgment, or contempt. It means understanding that you have both the right and the responsibility to care for the space you create around yourself. What you allow nearby reflects back into your interior life. If you are surrounded by mediocrity, striving toward excellence becomes exhausting. If you are surrounded by complaint, maintaining genuine gratitude becomes difficult. But if you are surrounded by people with vision, discipline, and real enthusiasm for growth, your life shifts. Your mind expands. Your spirit becomes more resilient. Seek those who believe in you even when you doubt yourself. Those who genuinely celebrate your progress without envy. Those who correct with love, not to control, but to help you stay true to your direction. Find the people who are also in the process of building something real. They may not be perfect, but they are committed. And growing alongside others who are committed is more powerful than growing alone. If right now you feel isolated in this process, start with yourself. Become the energy you are searching for. Be consistent, whole, and genuine. And the right people will begin to find their way toward you, because energy recognizes energy. Commitment attracts commitment. Stoicism teaches, we cannot control others, but we can choose with whom we spend our time and to whom we give our attention. Choosing your environment is a practical act of wisdom. It is learning to hold a standard. It is understanding that what you permit around you is what gets built within you. Lesson 7. Compete only with yourself. Your only true rival is who you were yesterday. Every time you turn your head to measure your worth against someone else's achievements, you lose your focus. And without focus, there is no real progress. External comparison is a subtle trap. It appears to motivate, but it actually disconnects you from yourself. It pushes you to seek approval, to perform for an audience, to live by other people's expectations. And the more you give to that dynamic, the the more you lose touch with what genuinely matters: your own growth. Your only real competition is in the mirror. Not in social media, not at the office, not among your peers. The question worth asking every day: am I more disciplined today than I was yesterday? Do I have more clarity, more composure, more focus? Did I take at least one step forward compared to who I was yesterday? If yes, you are on the right path, because that is the only game that actually transforms you. Everything else is noise. It does not matter how fast others are moving. If you are moving steadily in a genuine direction, you are advancing. Success is not speed, it is consistency, not popularity, but authenticity. When you decide to compete only with yourself, something remarkable happens. The ego settles. Envy dissolves. A real motivation appears, the kind born from purpose rather than judgment. This does not mean ignoring others. It means not measuring your value by their results. You can admire without comparing. You can learn without feeling inadequate. You can celebrate someone else's achievement without questioning your own worth. Define your own criteria. What does success mean to you personally? What does a good week actually look like? What habits do you want to strengthen? What kind of person are you building toward? Then evaluate yourself not against what others show the world, but against the standard you have set for yourself. Remember, what you see of others is only a window display, not the full picture of the inventory. You are working from the roots, from the inside. Self-improvement takes courage, because it requires radical honesty with yourself, seeing your patterns, your excuses, your tendencies, and saying, I will do better, not for anyone's approval, but because I am worthy of it. That is real motivation, a private commitment to yourself. And it is this kind of motivation that produces durable, lasting results, not temporary bursts of energy. Stoicism teaches, the wise do not trouble themselves over others' fortune, because their own standard of living does not depend on what is external. They live by reason, by virtue, by their private obligation to themselves. Not trying to be better than others, but striving to be more whole than yesterday. That is the competition that truly transforms. Because it is not about winning over anyone else. It is about not betraying yourself. Lesson 8. Your self-worth is largely determined by what you say to yourself. The single most powerful influence on how you feel each day is not what others say about you. It is what you say to yourself, the words you repeat in the silent internal dialogue, the judgments you pass in your own mind when no one is listening. You can be surrounded by people who genuinely value you and still feel worthless. Because if you are constantly criticizing yourself, speaking to yourself with harshness, seeing yourself as permanently insufficient, no external praise will touch it. The voice you hear most often is your own. If that voice is not your ally, it is your worst enemy. Many people believe that self-worth is something the world gives them, through praise, recognition, acceptance. But authentic self-worth is built from within, from how you interpret your mistakes, from how you treat yourself after a setback, from whether you speak to yourself as an enemy or as a mentor. Because no matter what you achieve, if the internal voice is toxic, it will never be enough. There will always be a quiet whisper. You could have done better. You're still not there. You failed again. Pause and honestly examine. How do I speak to myself when something goes wrong? What do I say to myself after a mistake? What words do I use to describe who I am? Because the phrases you repeat, even unconsciously, are forming your identity. If every day you tell yourself, "I'm hopeless, I'll never make this work, I never change," do not be surprised to feel stuck. That language is the software running your actions, emotions, and energy. And like any software, it can be rewritten. Start by identifying the automatic thoughts that appear in your hardest moments. Write them down. Read them aloud. Then ask, would I say this to someone I love? Would I say this to a child who is still learning? Almost certainly not. So why do you say it to yourself? Self-compassion starts internally. And this is not weakness. It is emotional strength. It is the decision to treat yourself with dignity, even when you are least satisfied with yourself. Not self-deception, not empty repetition of affirmations, but genuine fairness to yourself. Acknowledging your progress, correcting yourself without self-destruction. Building yourself up rather than tearing yourself down. Replace "I never managed to" with "I am learning." Replace "I'm a failure" with "I am growing." Because what you repeat becomes your belief, and your beliefs form your reality. Stoicism teaches we are not disturbed by events themselves, but by our judgment of those events. This applies fully to how we judge ourselves. Build a new inner dialogue. Not permissive, but constructive. Not one that justifies, but one that does not demean. When you make a mistake, say, "I am learning." When you doubt yourself, say, "I have the strength to keep going." When you feel unsteady, say, "The important thing is that I am not giving up." These are not tricks. They are tools for mental reprogramming, the bricks from which lasting self-worth is built. Lesson 9. High self-worth protects you from criticism and makes you genuinely unshakable. The higher your genuine self-worth, the less power other people's opinions have over you. Not because you stop caring, but because you already carry an inner foundation that does not require constant external confirmation. When criticism arrives, it no longer feels like a blow. It becomes information. Information you can choose to consider or to set aside, but not something that has the power to define you. When you know who you are, when you work on yourself consistently, when your intentions are sincere and your actions are aligned, no phrase thrown at you from outside can determine your worth. Most people fear judgment, not because of the judgment itself, but because deep down they are not yet certain of who they are. So one critical word breeds doubt. One dismissive comment brings confusion. But the person who has genuinely built themselves from the inside, who sees themselves clearly, does not drown in every wave. They have a deep anchor. Of course, we are all sensitive. We are social creatures. Unfair words still land. Being misunderstood still hurts. But that does not mean we are obligated to live under the permanent dictatorship of other people's approval. One of the highest forms of freedom is to be genuinely at peace with who you are. To the degree that even when someone does not approve of you, you do not collapse. You observe. You assess. You continue. Stoicism reminds us, what others think, say, or do is not in our power, but how we receive it is. Epictetus said, "People are not troubled by events, but by the interpretation of events." When someone criticizes you, pause and ask, is this constructive? Is it from someone who actually knows me and wishes me well? Or is this their own projection, their own unresolved pain and limitations that accidentally found a surface in me? Very often, criticism is a mirror of what the other person cannot accept in themselves. Learn to see the intention behind the words. If the feedback is honest and helpful, receive it with genuine gratitude. If it is destructive, sarcastic, or born from envy, do not absorb it. That is not yours to carry. Remember, you are not obligated to accept every package that is offered to you. You can simply not take it. High self-worth is a shield, but not a hard, aggressive one. It is calm and wise. It does not push everyone away. It filters. It does not close you off. It protects your essence. And the stronger your internal foundation becomes, the easier it is to hear without immediately reacting, to see without rushing to judgment, to receive without allowing others' criteria to define your limits. Work on yourself, not so that everyone approves of you, but so that you no longer need their approval to remain yourself. Your self-worth is your internal home. Make it solid, clean, and calm. And then no external storm will break your peace. Lesson 10. True style is born from dignity, not from fashion. Style is not what you buy. Style is what you radiate. It is not about brands. It is about posture, not about trends, about awareness. Real style does not begin in your wardrobe. It begins in your mind, in how you carry yourself, how you reflect your own essence through the form of your presence. The Stoics did not pursue aesthetics for its own sake, but they valued alignment. They believed that what appears on the outside should reflect what lives on the inside. Style, in this sense, is an act of integrity, not superficiality. Your clothing, your voice, your gestures, these are quiet messages. They can say, I respect myself. I know where I am going. I am ready. Or they can say, I am lost. I don't care. I am hiding. The question is not how much your clothes cost. The question is what message they carry. You do not need much. You need to be intentional. A clean, simple appearance. Posture that conveys presence. A gaze that holds dignity. That is already style. That is already influence. Do not let fashion dictate who you are. Use it as a tool, but not as an identity. Because when you chase an image to fill an inner emptiness, you lose yourself in the pursuit. But when you build your presence from within, style becomes an extension of your essence. It reveals itself naturally. Real style is a language without words. It says, I am not the loudest one in the room, but I am here. I am not trying to impress. I am simply aligned. I am imperfect, but I am whole. Your style is not a copy of someone else. It is a reflection of your values. It evolves not with each season, but with each stage of your personal growth. So stop asking what is trending. Ask, what aligns with my own vision of myself? What communicates my dignity, my focus, my intention? Minimalism is a form of style. Neatness is a form of respect. Simplicity is a form of strength. Cleanliness is a form of presence. You can own very little and carry elegance in every room you enter. Because elegance is not a possession, it is a choice. A constant daily declaration. I take care of myself. I take care of the details. I am not improvising my life. A chaotic appearance often reflects a chaotic mind. Worn-down shoes, inattentiveness, neglected language, internal disorganization. This is not judgment. It is an invitation toward awareness. Your presence should speak before you do. Not loudly, but clearly. Not for show, but deeply. And when your appearance, your tone, your energy and your actions are in alignment, people feel a kind of strength they cannot fully name. That strength is not about clothing. It is about inner state, about the outward reflection of inner discipline. True style cannot be copied. It reveals itself when you begin to live with dignity. And it stays with you even in your silence, even as you pass through a room and leave. Because style is what you leave behind when you are no longer in the space. If you have stayed until the end, it means you are ready to change. Not in words, but in action. These 10 lessons are not simply advice. They are tools for those who want to live with dignity, confidence, and genuine focus. Remember, your appearance begins on the inside. Every step you take, every posture you hold, every gaze you offer, all of it tells the world who you are. Share in the comments which of these lessons landed most powerfully for you. Or simply write, I show up in the world with dignity. I am Stoic. These words are a choice, and that choice is made every single day. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a new video. Your support is a genuine source of motivation to keep creating content like this. Thank you for your time and your trust. May confidence, peace, and focus travel with you in every day ahead. I will see you in the next one.